Oh, all right. Chat going. All right. Well, see, it says it's like I got a big goose egg. I got a big zero, but I'm looking at a number of people who are already in the chat room. So it gets very confusing to me. It says here, there's nobody. Pugs, you're live streaming and there's nobody watching. And yet I'm looking at the chat room and I'm having conversations with people in the chat room. So I know that there are people there. Get your act together, Restream. You're screwing with my head. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the High Noon Rant for what is today? Thursday. Oh, big Thursday. Today was D-Day around here. Today is the day when everything had to have been battened up and everything had to have been secure so that we could feel good moving effortlessly into this next beautiful month of October, which is what we're doing now. And it needs to be said, this show runs on your gratuities, as we like to point out. It runs on your tips. This show is entirely viewer funded. We've been doing it now for 2 years. We're into the third year now of doing these every single day, Monday through Friday. It is your one-stop shop for all things non-political. It's talk radio, but we're not political. We're not doing partisan nonsense. No red and blue. We just talk about everything else the way normal people talk about normal things. And that's what we tried to do. And you people have been supporting this brand of talk radio that doesn't exist on terrestrial radio. Can't really find it. All you got are like 35-year-old dudes who look and sound like they're 65-year-old dudes doing radio in a suit and tie. That's what you got. And they're screaming about how you voted the wrong way. That's all you get on regular radio. So we try to do this every day. It's a different kind of talk. It's actually not a different kind of talk. It's the kind of talk that only existed until about 20 years ago is when this talk kind of went away. So that's what we do here. So I thank you all for the incredible support. Like I said, 2 years. We're in the third year of doing this. Thanks to everybody from E for providing the facilities. Thanks to Ed at Radio Misfits for everything else. And mostly, thanks to you guys, man. You guys, because you guys, as I said, we do this. I get to the end of the month every month and I start to panic, because I don't want to be an evangelist. I don't, this is not like church, right? This is not, I don't want this thing that we do here to be interrupted every 20 minutes by, so dig into your pockets and give. So what happens is that I spend the first 3 weeks kind of like slow rolling the whole tip the show thing. And then we get to the end of the month and we're like, shit, we don't have the money for the bills. And then I start to pressure you guys and I feel like a real heel. But you guys come through because obviously, you enjoy this to some extent, and that means so much to me. That means, oh, really? Oh, he's sitting there saying that we like this shit? Oh, who does he think he is? No, look, let's be honest. You guys have been here every day for 2 years. I mean, the crowd isn't growing, but the crowd is consistent. I mean, the people that are here every day. So thank you so much to you guys, because that means that you kind of like it. And that, well, to cut to the chase, that kind of gives me a purpose. And that's really important. So thank you. Thank you to everybody who helped out the show this month. And thank you to our executive producer, the GOAT. I said I panicked on Monday. I was like, I'm like, we need to raise a minimum $200 in the next 3 shows. And that's insane because we never raised that much money in 3 shows. This show makes like if this show could make $30 a day, I could justify it. I could justify it by doing other things, right? But most days we don't do that. Most days we don't make anything. Most days these shows don't make anything. But there are enough of you that consistently get us through the finish line. And I said on Monday, I'm like, we need $200, and I'm like, there's no way we're going to get there. And 2 days in, we weren't close. We had 2 days into that, 3 days to raise $200. 2 days in, we had only raised 50. And it was like, yeah, we ain't getting there. This ain't going to happen. And then the GOAT shows up yesterday. So thank you. He is the executive producer of this show today. Appreciate it. Got us across the finish line. Got us right to where we needed to be. Now, if I was smart, I'd have said we needed more than that, just so that, you could put gas in the tank and all that. But we are fine. We are and also thank you to Jeff Ballard, who got us started on the new month. The GOAT got us across the finish line, and then Jeff dropped a little something. And I'm looking at you people in the chat room. You have all helped out. Byron has helped out. Dustin, how many times has Dustin helped out? Peter has exec produced this show more than anybody. Well, maybe April or maybe Jen. I know a lot of you have been consistent is all I'm saying. Leslie, can't forget Leslie. Can't forget. I'm sorry, but thank you to you guys. You got us through another month, and that's all we're gonna say about this. Okay, that's all we're gonna say about it. But pat the goat on the back if you see him in the hallway there at the chat room. Just say, "Hey, goat, good job." Give him a good thumbs up because he got us across the line. Appreciate that. All right, you can still tip though. Like I said, we get to the end of the month, and it's a grind. So we're gonna leave this up just in case anybody wants to help us pad for the fresh month coming in. But we made it. We're gonna do more shows. So thank you to the goat for stepping up. I don't give the amounts, although I've just told you the whole story, and I've given out amounts you could probably with context clues put together. But I don't give amounts on what people give. Most people tip normally, like a normal tip, and that's great. And thank you so much because that is the life's blood of this whole thing. But then there's a couple people who every once in a while at the end of the month, and it's like I'm starting to think of them as my guardian angels, and that's a very dangerous place to be in. But there's a couple of people who just swoop in. I say the number at the end of the month, and they meet the number, and we all move on. And to you people, and again, I don't know why I don't say the numbers or the names. Tracy's been that person. Peter's been that person. Jen is. I can't go name. I can't name names. I can't name. Tiffany has been that person. Leslie. I can't. But thank you to those people, and we made it. And that's all I'm going to say on it. And the goat is the guy. He's definitely did get us there. All right, we got a big day today, man. I got such a crazy freaking day today. I got to do after the show. I got to run. I got to go to 3 banks after the show. Bank. Then I got to be on the road by I'm thinking 4:30 because I got a football game that I got to be at. It's a 5:30 start. Oh, it's gonna be beautiful tonight. Oh, it's gonna be a gorgeous. I like the 5:30 starts. My son's football games either start at 5:30 on Thursday or 7 on Thursday. Now, what happens is when they start at 7 o'clock, the game that's before them, the 5:30 game, inevitably goes late. So the 7 o'clock game typically won't start till 8. And we don't get out of there till 10. And it's always really fun. I'm usually not in bed after a 7 o'clock start till about 11:30 at night. That is untenable. I cannot. 5:30s, I like the 5:30s because we start at 5:30. The game will be over, by like 7:30. Even though the other game is supposed to start at 7, it'll be over by 7:30. We'll be home. And then, although tonight after the game, because it's my weekend with the boy, so I got the boy this weekend. So we're gonna do probably a little something after the game. I don't know, whatever. There's a Bears game on that we're going to be avoiding. So please, no spoilers. We don't need to know anything. When we're enjoying my son's juggernaut of a freshman high school football team, they're 5-0. They're just blowing everybody out. Their margin of victory, their average margin of victory is 35 points. That's crazy. That's the average margin of victory. And that has come significantly down. Because the last 2 weeks they only won by 28, and then last week they won by 7. But it was a garbage time 7. It was a bigger game. Anyway, so that's tonight. So I got a lot of running around to do. So we're gonna get started on the show right now, and we're gonna run through it. Hi, Barney. Barney's here. Barney's another guy I don't mention. I should mention Barney more. Barney's always around. You people, you consistent people, man. Again, and I say it. And fuck you if you think this is puss. It means a lot to me. You guys, every day, you have no idea. Sometimes people go missing, like Leslie. Like Leslie's been missing now for a week, and I know why, because she's all butthurt because she went after Byron, and I sided with Byron because he was right. I read the transcript. So Leslie's gone. That hurts me. I'm like, oh, poor. I hope she comes back. I hope she feels comfortable at some point to come back. And again, remember, the rule is she comes back, we don't say anything. We just let her back in, right? It's how we got to be. It's how we got to be in the world today. I know people who don't talk to family members because they voted for Trump. I'm like, dude, you got to let them back in. You can't say anything about it. You got to just be like, come on, there are things more important than how you voted and, me not agreeing with it or whatever. So Leslie wants to come back. We let her back in. Of course we do. Of course we do. No questions asked. You hear me, Byron? Don't go starting any trouble if she wants to come back because this is everybody's welcome here. Peter's here, April's here, Barney's here. All the regulars are here. It's good to see you. Okay, let's get started. It is the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. It is Thursday afternoon. What is it? The fifth day? The fifth day of the gorgeous month of October. October is my favorite month. It's my favorite. It is absolute. It's my favorite month with like the singularly worst day of my life in it. Okay. So that's kind of a weird thing, but I'm a complicated guy. So why wouldn't my favorite month be complicated? I lost a son in October. I lost my first child in October. That's always been a very difficult sort of, but I still love the month. I love the weather. Oh my God, we had rain last night. That was fantastic. October 5th today is the 278th day of the year. There's 87 more of these left till the end of the year. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. You got 87 days to just plan the perfect New Year's Eve. Let's get into the first segment on the show here. We like to do a little portion we call Erstwhile on This Day. Before we get into all the day's events, because that's what this show is about, the headlines, the hot topics, the whatever it is, what's making the buzz around the world on this particular day, we give it to you. But before we do that, we like to set the table with a nice 30,000-foot view of what this day has represented in the past. We do this by doing a segment we call Erstwhile on This Day, or Previously On, if you're more comfortable with, Previously On October the 5th. On this day in 1905, the Wright brothers pilot the Wright Flyer 3 in a new world record flight of 24 miles in 39 minutes. So, okay, so like all this time, like this is old-timey stuff. Like 1905, they were doing the Wright Flyer 3. So when did the first one? When did they do was that 1800s or was that no, that would be like 1903. Did all this happen over the course of a couple of years? I don't know. But good for them. They went 24 miles in 39 minutes on this day in 1905. Erstwhile on this day in the year 1914 during World War I, an aircraft, excuse me, World War I on this day, an aircraft successfully destroys another aircraft with gunfire. For the first time ever in 1914, one plane shot down another plane out of the sky. That was on this day in 1914, World War I. On this day in 1921, during the World Series, it is the first World Series on this day to be broadcast on the radio. Oh, what a phenomenon baseball on the radio was. The golden age. On this day in 1945, a 6-month strike by Hollywood set decorators turns into a bloody riot at the gates of the Warner Brothers studios. This is a bunch of people died, like a bunch of set decorators in the 1945. I'm just saying, you don't expect violence out of, set decorators. You don't expect, mayhem and bloodshed on a picket line. On this day in 1947, President Truman makes the very first televised Oval Office address for the first time ever. President of the United States sat in the Oval Office. All of America got to see what the Oval Office looked like on this day in 1947. On this day in 1962, the first of the James Bond films was released. Dr. No, Sean Connery. I am not a James Bond fan. It's one of the great pop culture blind spots that I have that I should know because of, I'm Gen X. I grew up in the 70s. These movies were on TV all the time. Roger Moore, I suppose, would be my James Bond, for my generation, when I remember as a kid. But I never really got into James Bond. I didn't like the fantasy aspects of it, right? Like even as a kid, I was interested in international espionage, but I wasn't so much interested in like them fighting with laser guns and stuff. Like that took me out of it. I'm like, nah, I need more boring conversation between spooks and, spies and stuff. And it just seemed a little silly to me. But on this day, Dr. No was released, the first of the James Bond canon of films, or world, whatever. Yeah. Think of if James Bond didn't come out in 1955 and came out now, there would be there'd be Disney spin-off series, like Q would have their own show on Disney. There'd be a lot more to the James Bond universe, I think. It's always time to expand it. Although why? It feels like such a dated concept, James Bond. First of all, he's British. Nobody takes the British seriously. It's like the British come up with something and like everyone else in the world is like, yeah, okay, go tell the United States and then get back to us when they tell us what they think of it. Because that's real British. Nobody cares about the British. James Bond. What are you, nuts? Speaking of the British, on this day in 1962, erstwhile on this day, the Beatles released their very first single there in England. Very first Beatles single, Love Me Do, is released in Britain on this day. No one ever heard of the Beatles before this day. Well, I mean, I guess people in Liverpool and the Cavern Club and Roch Scholar in the Cavern Club and what the place in where's it, Germany where they played. Whatever, they weren't big until this day in 1962. Love Me Do is released. There's a trivia question. What's the very first Beatles single? Love Me Do. On this day in 1982, this is the prime of my coming of age years. On this day in 1982, Tylenol products are recalled after bottles in Chicago are found to have been laced with cyanide causing several deaths. This was a branding nightmare for Tylenol. I guess I can't speak for my whole generation, but I can speak for myself as a 12-year-old when this happened in Chicago, where, people in the next town over died when they got a headache and they took Tylenol. I mean, it was a close story. It was like the Tylenol that could kill people is the Tylenol at our Walgreens, right? Even though it's a national story. So it was a big deal. I still don't use Tylenol. I don't to this day. And it's because of the Tylenol incident. We stopped using Tylenol. And in my little stupid kid brain, Tylenol equated with bad, death, negative, don't get it. I also would never eat bumblebee tuna. Bumblebee, to this day, I won't buy bumblebee tuna because there was like some story when I was a little kid about bumblebee tuna. And I don't know, some kind of like, something bad was in the tuna, like cat food or something. I don't know what it was, whatever it was. But I don't even know if it's true. But to this day, I don't eat bumblebee tuna. I also don't take Tylenol products. I mean, I will. I'm not crazy. Like if I got a headache and I'm like, if I got aspirin and you pull out Tylenol, I'll take it. I'm not going to be like, I can't take that because I'm traumatized from when I was 12 and there was a news report about a lady in the next town over who took a Tylenol and died and now I can't take. No, it's not like that. I'll take the Tylenol. That's what you got. But still, I don't buy Tylenol. I would never buy Tylenol. I use pretty much ibuprofen. Isn't that different? Wait, what is Tylenol? Is Tylenol acetaminophen? I don't know. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. On this day in 1982, all Tylenol products are taken off the nation's shelves because of the poisonings in Chicago. All right, that's going to do it for erstwhile on this day. Now we move into a segment I call Buana Buana Buana. They say it's their birthday. That's right. These are people celebrating birthdays. People born on this day. We're going to talk a little bit about them. We're going to weigh their contributions to the world, and then we're going to move on, okay? So, on this day in 1829, boy, this is a spare. Every couple of days we get one of these spare presidents. And I got to mention him because he's a president of the United States, but who the hell cares that it's Chester A. Arthur's birthday? Nobody. Talk about a spare. Born on this day in 1829, Chester A. Arthur. Born on, by the way, that's a name. That's an old-timey name, isn't it? I mean, first of all, there aren't Chester A. I don't know. Just it's a very old-timey name, Chester A. Arthur. Born on this day in 1902. 1902, born on this day, American comedian, one of the great iconic American comedians. But we don't even really know his name. We only know his first name. Born on this day in 1902, Larry. That's right, Larry Fine of the Three Stooges. Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard, Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard. That's how we learned the Three Stooges were brothers. That's how we all learned as kids that Mo Howard and Curly Howard were actually brothers and that Larry Fine was not a brother. Larry Fine, born on this day in 1902. Least favorite Stooge, Larry Fine. Well, I mean, I think Curly Joe Besser would be the least favorite Stooge. He's like, he was the one like in the 1960s when the Stooges were like old men and they're still doing it. It was just kind of sad. That was Curly Joe Besser. Shemp was good. Shemp replayed. Shemp was a brother. Shemp. Well, if you look at Shemp and Mo, yeah, they're brothers. Shemp and Mo look exactly like brothers. They really do. So Shemp was a brother, right? It was Shemp Howard, Mo Howard, Curly Howard. Curly Howard left, was replaced by Shemp. But Shemp was actually the original. Did you know that? Yeah. Shemp was the original Three Stooges was Shemp, but then Shemp left because Shemp went solo. Shemp tried to go and become a solo act, like an artist, like an actor and stuff. And then they replaced him with Curly, and then they got popular. And then Shemp's star started to fade. Shemp's star never rose. And then he went, and then Curly got sick. And that's what it was. There it is. Happy birthday, Shemp. Or Larry. It's Larry Fine's birthday. Least important of the Stooges, Larry Fine. I mean, we've established that Curly Joe Besser is the least, relevant, but the least important is Larry. Or was he the most important because Larry was the glue? I don't know. You can look at it a couple of different ways. Born on this day in 1902, Larry Fine. Also born on this day in 1902, Ray Kroc, Mr. McDonald's, the guy who stole the McDonald's idea from the big dumb McDonald brothers who didn't know what they had. Big dumb yokels up there in like Northern California. Just got this like killer idea for like a hamburger joint. And then big city smoothie, Ray Kroc saunters in trying to sell milkshake machines. And he's like, this is a thing. And then he took it over. And now we have McDonald's. Ray Kroc, born on this day. What year was Ray Kroc born? Oh, geez, Louise. Does it even really matter? 1902. Born on this day in 1937, the old ball coach. Nah, not Steve Spurrier. Barry Switzer. Born on this day in 1937. Dallas Cowboys head coach, won a Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson's team. Yeah, I said it. But he's also fairly accomplished, but not fairly, national champion football coach in college. Happy birthday to you, Barry Switzer. Happy birthday, another local kid, another local Dallas kid. Not that Barry Switzer's local, but he does have ties due to the Cowboys. Steve Miller, born on this day in 1943. That's right, Dallas kid, Steve Miller. I like Steve Miller. Here's what I like about Steve Miller. Steve Miller was a massive star in the 70s, man. Steve Miller was huge. Steve Miller was as big as the Eagles. Steve Miller was as big as Fleetwood Mac. Steve Miller was big. Steve Miller was a big, big guy. And then you know what he did? Like right around the time he hit like the late 40s, he went, I quit. And he stopped. And you know what he did? He did my dream. He did. I always say, this is my dream. I would like to have enough money to be able to go and buy a whole bunch of land on a lake in Madison, Wisconsin, and just live in Madison. And that's what Steve Miller is doing. Steve Miller has this like recording studio, and he just hangs out in Madison, Wisconsin, and he just lives the life of a guy who had a pretty cool 20s. I mean, if you're going to be about, he was big, man. Steve Miller was big, and then he just kind of went away. He just kind of went, in the 80s. Abracadabra broke him. I think that's what happened. I think Abracadabra came out in the 1980s. Steve Miller went, wow, this made me a lot of money, but I can't show my face in public anymore. So he kind of stopped. But Steve Miller's cool. I like Steve Miller. Happy birthday, Steve. St. Mark's. St. Mark's here in Dallas. So a rich kid. Yeah, he grew up a rich kid. He went to St. Mark's. Steve Miller, born on this day in 1943. Born on this day in 1949. Oh, God, this guy. I have a complicated relationship with this guy because although I have at times embraced his methodologies, I do think that to some extent he has turned baseball into nerd ball. Bill James was born on this day. Bill James, born on this day in 1949. Now, who is Bill James? He's a historian. He's an author, and he's the guy who invented sabermetrics. He's the guy who basically made baseball math so that now we're all talking about, launch angles and wins against replacement and plus WAR and all of this stuff. Man, when I was a kid, we needed to know average RBIs and home runs. That's it. Maybe give me his offer for his last, 20 at-bats or something. Show me that. I don't need to know all this stuff that Bill James now introduced into baseball daily life. It's no fun. Between sabermetrics, look, I get it. Look, I want my manager to be into this stuff because apparently it works. But I'm a fan, and I don't really care about all of this stuff. I'm not here for that. I'm not going to baseball games for the math. I'm just not. I'm going for other things. Bill James introduced math equations into watching baseball. Ugh. Born on this day in 1951, Karen Allen, American actress. This is another woman who was a very big actress, a very successful young actress. And then she just kind of disappeared. Karen Allen. She was a cutie. Karen Allen, probably most famous. You know what she does? Karen Allen was kind of a Margot Kidder. It's like they had two of them. They had Karen Allen and Margot Kidder. Margot Kidder was the crazy one. Karen Allen was the one that's, actually was pretty well-regarded actress. I guess Margot Kidder was too, in some ways. Anyway, Karen Allen was Animal House. She was Boone's girlfriend in Animal House. I remember there was like one girl character who was cool in Animal House, and that was Boone's girlfriend. And she had the affair with Donald Sutherland, her professor, who they all went and got high with. Anyway, Animal House, Karen Allen, it's her birthday. She stopped acting. She stopped doing stuff. But she was an actress, unfortunately, at a time when actresses had to be retired at 40. Once an actress turned 40, they were no longer offered any work. That's different now. Now actors, now that number is 60. That number has gone up to 60. Now actresses turn 60 and they can't get work. Born on this day in 1951, also umbilical cousins with Karen Allen. Bob Geldof, Boomtown Rats, Bob Geldof. Activist, did Live Aid, right? Wasn't that his deal? Bob Geldof or Band-Aid? We Are the World. That wasn't Bob Geldof. What was Do They Know It's Christmas was Bob Geldof. Live Aid was Bob Geldof. Born on this day in 1951, Sir. That's right, Sir Bob Geldof. Born on this day in 1952, Clive Barker, English author, director, producer, and screenwriter. Is he dead? I thought Clive Barker was dead. Doesn't say that he's dead here. Let's see. No, he's not dead. He's 70. He's not dead, though. Clive Barker's 70. Well, I always thought Clive Barker was older than that. All right. Clive Barker, born on this day in 1952. 71. It says 71 today. What else do we have here? Bernie Mac. Oh, I love Bernie Mac. I knew Bernie Mac before he was famous, although he was always famous to me because he was a larger-than-life stand-up comedian in Chicago who was, he ruled every room he walked into, but it took him years before breaking nationally. Bernie Mac, born on this day in 1957. We lost him, dropped dead, heart attack. Man, silent killer. Bernie Mac was great. Born on this day in 1957. Born on this day in 1972. Another Dallas kid. Is he a Dallas kid? I don't know. Where was he raised? Grant Hill, ladies and gentlemen. Grant Hill. I call him a Dallas kid because his dad played for the Cowboys, so I assumed he grew up here, but I don't know. Grant Hill, born on this day, basketball player. Born on this day in 1972. Grant Hill was great, and then injuries. That's what happens, man. Grant Hill could have been one of the greats, but then injuries. Excuse me. Born on this day in 1972, Grant Hill. Born on this day in 1975. How about Kate Winslet? I like Kate Winslet. Isn't she in Titanic, though? I got a problem with Titanic. Hated that movie. But Kate Winslet seems all right. Ricky Gervais had a show called Extras. And it was a situation comedy after The Office. It was called Extras. I think it was on HBO or Showtime or something. It was really good. And it was just about a group of extras, professional actors in the London BBC and theater scene and all that. Professional actors who weren't stars. They were just everyday extras, background players and all that. Kate Winslet had a story arc on Extras where she played Kate Winslet. The extras were hanging out with Kate Winslet, who was the star. She was so funny. She was so funny in Extras. She was such a bitch. She was such trash. She was a slut. She was a drug addict. She played herself to all of the absolute worst characteristics you would imagine a famous actress having. And she played it up. She was very funny. Happy birthday, Kate Winslet. That's why I liked her. Because I was like, oh my God, Kate Winslet is playing Kate Winslet like a trampy, trashy crack whore. It was really funny because, Kate Winslet, you think that she's so proper. Born on this day in 1975, Kate Winslet. Born on this day in 1989, a guy who's having a moment. I mean, he's been having a moment, but he's been knocked into the stratosphere. Travis Kelce celebrating a birthday today. Travis Kelce, of course, he's, I don't know. He's going out to dinner with Taylor Swift. Are they doing it? Who knows? And that I mean, let's be honest, that's all people care about. They're in a relationship. What's being unspoken is, are they doing it? Is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift doing it? Why not? They're both exceptionally attractive human beings. They're both the same age. They're both famous. Why not? Why wouldn't they? Okay. I mentioned yesterday on the Radio Misfit stream, which is the stream I do with James Parker at 9 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. No show tonight. I mentioned last night about how this new bit that's going around, this viral bit that's going on between boyfriends and girlfriends, where boyfriends record their girlfriends without the girlfriends knowing, but the boyfriends record them while talking to their girlfriends about how dating Travis Kelce is going to be really big for Taylor Swift's career. These are the boyfriends. Wow, babe, your girl Taylor Swift, man, she's about to become really famous. She's dating Travis Kelce now. Like, that's the bit. Like, guys are doing that to their girlfriends to film their reaction. Because, of course, the girlfriend's reaction is, Taylor Swift is 1,000 times more famous than Travis Kelce. What do you mean? But, it's playing into the dumb guy thing, where all we think is, well, we know. Anyway, I'm enjoying that. Happy birthday to Travis Kelce, born on this day in 1989. All right, now let's do some people who died. These are the people who died on this day. We like to play a little game called Heaven or Hell. We take our current modern world understanding of the prerequisites for heaven and hell, and we apply them to these people who died on this day, and we ask one simple question: where are they? Are they in heaven or are they in hell? All right, let's start out. Dead on this day in 1813, Tecumseh, American tribal leader. He's an Indian. I don't know anything about Tecumseh. I just know it's a cool last name. And I know I've heard this name a whole bunch of times in my life. Tecumseh. I don't know what he did. I'm putting him in heaven, though. Cool last name. I've always thought that's a cool last name. Dead on this day in 1992, Eddie Kendricks. Eddie Kendricks of the Temptations. Eddie Kendricks was a dude, man. Eddie Kendricks was awesome. The Temptations were awesome. Eddie Kendricks was a talent. Oh, my God, was he great. He's in hell. Eddie Kendricks is absolutely in hell. That guy lived a wild life. He did some things, probably killed a person. Stories. Eddie Kendricks, amazing artist. So talented. He's definitely in hell. Dead on this day in 2004. How about the great Rodney Dangerfield? Rodney Dangerfield died on this day. He's also definitely in hell. I mean, again, we do this based on what our perceptions are growing up in this modern age of what gets you into heaven and what gets you into hell. Everybody loves Rodney Dangerfield, but he was kind of a piece of garbage. He was like, sexually, did some things. Good thing Rodney didn't survive the Me Too movement, because people would have been coming out of the wood. Rodney did some things. Rodney did drugs. There were stories about Rodney being involved in some shady business deals. Rodney had some friends who worked with organizations, criminal organizations. All I'm saying is that Rodney Dangerfield, as beloved as he is, and we all love Rodney Dangerfield, he had a life that probably landed him in hell. I mean, look, I've said this a million times. Based on this little exercise we do every day here, I think I would much rather be in hell. Because, sure, you got to put up with the Kubla Khans and Hitlers, but you also get to hang out with, Eddie Kendricks and Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, there are some good things. So, anyway, I mean, sure, I could go to heaven and hang out with Tecumseh, but can we even speak? Does he speak English? I don't. Dead on this day in 2004, Rodney Dangerfield. Definitely in hell. Dead on this day in 2011. Here's one let's be serious about. Let's be serious about this guy. Because this is the big one. This would be the biggest one. I know I've given you Tecumseh. I've given you Eddie Kendricks of the Temptations. I gave you Rodney. And yet I still sit here before you and confidently say that this man who died on this day in 2011 is without a doubt the biggest name who died on this day. Dead on this day in 2011, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. Now, this is a complicated one, because this isn't just this is a dude that changed the world. The world before Steve Jobs got his mitts into it, and the world after, completely different places. So I don't think, I'd have to think about it. There's probably about there's probably about 3 or 4 guys. You would absolutely put Elon Musk in there. You might put Bill Gates in there. You could put trying to think. You'd certainly put Steve Jobs in there. There are 3 or 4 people of the past 25 years who are just iconic as far as 1,000 years from now. Like, we still know who Copernicus is. We still know who Shakespeare is. We still know, there are people we still know who Othello. No, not Othello. Who was the guy I was trying to think of? Doesn't matter. I believe that, we have a couple of those, and Steve Jobs is one of them. I think Steve Jobs is going to be one of those names people are going to know 300-400 years from now. But does he belong in heaven or hell? Because the changes that he's made, the changes that he, okay, so I love the Bill Burr bit where Bill Burr doesn't respect Steve Jobs because all Steve Jobs does is he walks down a hallway, has a crazy idea, opens a door, yells at a bunch of nerds and says, I want a phone that's also a camera, and shuts the door. And then they invent it and he gets credit. I love that joke because it probably is true. But Steve Jobs, without Steve Jobs, heaven or hell, man, I don't know where we put, because it's such a complicated one. I would very easily say heaven. I would go, heaven, but also we don't really know what his creations have wrought yet. We're still in the infancy of this era. I don't know. Purgatory. You know what? Heaven. We're going to put Steve Jobs in heaven. We'll just put him in heaven for now. You know what? You've got a day pass to heaven, Steve. We don't know what to do. All right, that's going to be it. That's it. That's all we got as far as people who died on this day, as far as birthdays, and as far as taking a look back on erstwhile on this day. Now we're going to move into all of the stuff that is happening on this very day. Once again, I'll remind you, the show is run and operates entirely by your kindnesses and your gratuities. Drop a little something in the tip jar. Be greatly appreciated, and help us continue to do these shows. And a big, big thank you to the GOAT for getting us through the end of the month. Thank you to the GOATs. But, still another month. Let's not get behind the 8 ball. If you want to drop a little something now, that'd be great. We don't have to hear from you again for another month. All right. Let's get into all the things that are happening in the world today. Let's talk about the stories that are making... Hold on. I got a hiccup. We're going to run through these because, as I said, I got a whole bunch of stuff that I got to do today. I got to do 3 banks. Never mind. I was going to chase a rabbit and tell a story, but I'm not going to tell that story because, honestly, there's nobody who benefits from me telling that story. All right, let's move on. First big thing happening today is a healthcare strike. We got a healthcare strike. It's expanding by the hour. Los Angeles, tens of thousands of Kaiser Permanente workers. Permanente. I'm going to call it I can't pronounce that word. Kaiser Permanente. That's it. I just did it. Permanente. It's Permanente. Like permanent. Like Kaiser Permanent. Kaiser Permanente workers, tens of thousands of them, took to picket lines in multiple states on Wednesday, launching a massive strike that Kaiser Permanente warned could cause delays at its hospitals and clinics that serve nearly 13 million Americans. The coalition of Kaiser Permanente unions, representing about 85,000 of the health system's employees nationally, approved a strike for 3 days in California, Colorado, Oregon, and Washington. A 3-day strike. Now, I'm a big supporter of unions, but I don't come from big union country, big union family. I don't really understand a 3-day strike. What does that do? Like, we're going to be bad for 3 days and then we're going to come back to work like nothing ever happened. I don't understand. I'm sure somebody with a greater grasp on this situation could explain it to me, but I don't understand. I don't understand the purpose of a 3-day strike. You go on strike, you say, look, this is our demands, meet them or we're not working. It's not, these are our demands. We're going to take a long weekend and we'll get back with you. But that doesn't. All right. Biden's wall. How about that? That's trending. Biden's wall. Woke up this morning, saw Biden's wall. Apparently, President Biden has approved. What is the story? It's an election year. It's an election year. He's got to throw a little bit of, red meat to the idiots, and apparently that's what he's doing. The Biden administration says that it is using executive power to allow border wall construction in Texas. Well, there you go. That's fine. Whatever. Let them put the ball away. I think we can all agree that the border is an issue that needs to be dealt with seriously. I just don't know that, technology from the year 1200 is kind of the best way to do it. But I get it. It looks good. It looks like we're doing something, and it's really inexpensive. Of all the things that you could do, just throwing up a wall is pretty inexpensive, and it does. I mean, I used to believe that the wall is stupid. It's a waste of money. Why would you do that? There are smarter ways that we can do this. Let's explore those. But now we're just at the point where they got to do something because there is no room for reasonable conversation about the border crisis. And it is a border crisis, and we do need to take it seriously. So he's throwing up a wall. Why? The Biden administration announced that they have waived 26 federal laws in South Texas to allow border construction. Border construction, marking the administration's first use of sweeping executive power to pave the way for building more border barriers. Okay, anyway, there you go. It's a fun little story popping up this morning. Apparently now Joe Biden's going to build a wall. All right, Biden's wall. Here we go. Another story. This comes out of the Wall Street Journal today. 7 in 10 Americans, 7 out of 10, 70% of Americans, 70% of Americans, according to a survey of 6,200 Americans conducted by Wall Street Journal and Bonus Finder, 71.2% of Americans say they have no faith in the U.S. government to save them or prevent a doomsday event. Even more unnerving, many respondents believe that doomsday could come within the next year. Why not? Why not? Look, you cannot find a day in the last 1,000 years of human history. You cannot find a day, one random day, March the 3rd of 1412. You can't find a random day where there wasn't somebody going, the world's going to end this year. That's always a thing. So I say, why not? Why not be now? I'm more interested in the 71.2% of Americans who don't have any faith in their government to stop a cataclysmic event. I'm with them. I am absolutely with them. Look, I've said this before. When the aliens come, there are going to be politicians who side with the aliens. And I always look at politicians now in the pre-alien days, like we don't have aliens. That's not a thing. This is just hypothetical at this moment. But right now, I like to look at all the politicians and I like to go, which one of these sons of bitches are going to side with the aliens? Which one of these guys are going to be the conduit to round us up so that the aliens can put us into their little Soylent Green mills, juice bars or whatever? I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of them out there. Biden's building his wall. 7 in 10 Americans don't believe that the government has any capability of protecting. I am in that 7 in 10 Americans. I do not believe that the current government can do anything to stop something really bad from happening to us if it happens. I mean, well, never mind. I was going to go into the way, nope, not going to do that. Because that's not what this show's about. Because, I almost just went into a conversation that might have made you go, well, that guy votes a certain way. And I don't like to do that. I'll just say this. Let me speak for all humans. We don't handle difficulty well, okay? Humans have never handled difficulty well. We don't like change. We don't like things being different. What? We don't like to think about stuff. 7 out of 10 of us, though. 7 out of 10 of us don't have any faith in the government. That's a big number, man. That's a really big number. Walmart is trending today. Walmart has made a major corporate announcement this morning that is shaking. Well, Walmart, the largest employer in the world. I don't know if that's true. Sounds like it's true. Walmart could be the largest employer in America. Is that true? I don't know. Probably the federal government's the largest employer in America. I don't know. United States military, largest employer. I don't know. But Walmart is certainly one of the big ones. And Walmart made a big seismic announcement today. Walmart has eliminated college degrees as a requirement for hundreds of its corporate roles. There's a lot of companies like this. There's a lot of companies that you want to fill out an application for that new job at corporate. Well, you got to have a 4-year degree. You got to go through the man system. You got to get yourself all of them college loans. You got to pay. You got to be of a certain class of person who can go to a 4-year university. You got to come from parents who have, see what I'm saying? I mean, it's been sort of a tough climb for people who maybe don't come from privilege to get jobs, good jobs, secure jobs with corporations, because places like Walmart, they put up this wall that says, no, you can't work in our corporate accounting unless you've got 4 years. It's a stupid thing because, you're eliminating a lot of, honestly, the most go-getter capable, competent people that I know do not have college degrees. They are the people who at 18 years old went off on their own and they built up fortunes, and those are the real go-getters. So this idea that they're going to start weighing applicants' worthiness based on real-world experience that they can demonstrate, that's good, man. That's good. Walmart has eliminated college degrees as a requirement for hundreds of its corporate roles. The retail giant said last week that it would get rid of unnecessary barriers that prevent career advancement, and that job applicants would start seeing updated job descriptions next year. Walmart said that it will waive the need for a university degree if candidates can show they have gained the necessary skills through alternative prior experience. While degrees should be part of the equation, and in some cases even required, there are many roles where a degree is simply unnecessary, including at corporate headquarters. This move is part of a wider trend in the United States job market. American companies like IBM, Accenture, and Google have also announced measures to reduce the number of jobs at their corporate offices requiring college degrees. This is a really good thing. It's a really good thing. Because the system, the way it's set up, you don't want to hear about the system. Here he goes with the system that I just tune out. No, the system is set up so that the only people who are given opportunities to have these kinds of careers are people who come from a certain station in life to begin with. And that's the middle to the upper middle class, the kids who are expected to go to college. I mean, where did you grow up? Where did you grow up? Did you grow up? Because I have friends from all different kinds of environments. I grew up in a upper middle class suburb in the south side of Chicago where everybody was expected to go to a 4-year university. That was the expectation. You can go to junior college. You didn't join the military. Where I grew up, you were expected to go to college. You were more than likely going to a state college, and that's fine. You were going to an Eastern Illinois University or a Northern Illinois University or whatever it was. Very rarely was anybody in my working class, upper middle class neighborhood going off to Harvard. Occasionally you'd get a Notre Dame or a Northwestern, but that's just because it was regional. But, we were expected to go to college. We were expected, not good colleges, not great colleges, because, see, I make this distinction because I have a friend who grew up where the expectation was Ivy League and Ivy League alone. And it wasn't just his family. It was everybody in his neighborhood because he grew up in a much wealthier neighborhood where simply going to North Texas wasn't acceptable to the neighbors. You had to go to SMU or Baylor or TCU, Harvard, someplace out east. And then I have friends who grew up where there was zero expectation of them going to college, that they knew they weren't going to college. Their dad didn't go to college. Their mom didn't go to college. They were going to hopefully get a union card at 18 years old. So when the corporations, the big ones like the Walmarts and the Googles and, whatever, name anybody, Amazons, whatever, you name them, when they start putting these barriers up between people advancing within their companies that require a 4-year college degree, what they're essentially saying is there's an entire group of people, there's an entire caste system that we are adhering to and emboldening by putting up these barriers. That's bullshit. You can't tell me that a guy... didn't Elon Musk drop out of college? So he couldn't get a job at corporate with Walmart before this thing because he didn't have, right? I mean, anyway, it's a good thing. This is a good thing. I am a believer that everybody who wants a college education and wants to go that next step with their intellectual training or whatever, they should have that opportunity. This is America. It's the greatest country in the world. Our children should all be given the intellectual advantages that any other advanced nation has. Our kids that want to be smart should be allowed to go be smart. But let's be honest, a lot of our kids don't want to be smart. A lot of our kids just want to, do the Instagram. So, but it doesn't mean that those kids that come from, like my neighborhood, all kids were expected to go off to college. I mean, I have friends. I have a friend who's an idiot. It's just that they were always an idiot, and they make like a ridiculous amount of money because they went to college for 4 years. That's the only reason they got a job. They shouldn't have this job. I would probably be better at this person's job than this person is at his job. But I just don't have a degree, so I couldn't get that job. We were talking about this last night with James. James loves the show Suits. because a couple of months ago, Netflix decided to force feed Suits to everybody. And after like 15 years of being on the air, suddenly everybody's talking about Suits. I guess in that show, that's about a lawyer who doesn't have a law degree, right? He's like a really good lawyer, but he doesn't have a law degree. All right, well, there you have it. That's the big news. That's the big corporate news shaking the nation. Walmart announcing that they are going to drop requirements, degree requirements for many jobs at their corporate headquarters. Here's a fun one. British smoking laws. This is interesting. They have done something. So they got this new guy in charge of Prime Minister. What's his name? Sunak. His name is Sunak or something like that. He's the new prime minister there in England. I can't keep track. They've had like 5 prime ministers in the last, couple of years. So this guy, Rishi Sunak, I guess that's the UK's conservative prime minister, wants to prohibit people born in 2009 and later from buying cigarettes forever. All right, so this is a conservative. This is what's so crazy. There's no such thing. Don't even tell me you're a conservative, because there are no. This is not a conservative policy. And this like right wing, he doesn't like smoking, and maybe his version of right wing is a bit more authoritarian. He doesn't like smoking, so he's going to stop. So basically, here's what he's doing. If you were born in 2009, okay, the legal age for smoking in England is 18. If you were born in 2009, in 18, what would that be? So in 4 years from now? So 4 years from now, you would be able to buy cigarettes. What this new law is going to do is it is going to incrementally increase the age for buying cigarettes every year. Every year, it's going to get 1 year older, so that if you were born in 2009, you will never be old enough to smoke cigarettes. That's what this conservative right-wing dude in England is putting out there. I can't even say his name. Rishi Sunak to ban cigarettes for Brits. The UK's conservative prime minister wants to prohibit people born in 2009 and later from buying cigarettes forever. People in England born on or after January 1st, 2009 will be banned from ever buying cigarettes under plans announced Wednesday by British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Speaking at the Conservative Party conference, Sunak declared England's smoking age would be raised annually. So a 14-year-old today will never be allowed to buy cigarettes legally in the United Kingdom. This is crazy. It's like crazy Banana Republic stuff. You ever seen there's a Woody Allen movie called Bananas from the early 1970s, and he takes over. He's like a Fidel Castro kind of dictator. He takes over this country, and he gets up and he starts making these authoritative demands. And it's crazy stuff like this. Like, if you were born in 2009, you will never be able to legally smoke cigarettes, because we will make the age restriction 1 year every year, and you will never be legally old enough to buy cigarettes. One of the demands that in the movie Bananas that he made was everybody wearing underwear must now wear underwear on the outside of your pants. Like one of his demands. These are crazy authoritarian demands. Kevin Spacey. Let's talk about Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey, he popped up in the news at the end of the show yesterday. We talked about Kevin Spacey being rushed to a hospital in where was he? He was like in one of those magical Eastern European countries that seem like they would be just like the butthole of the universe. But actually, when you see it, it's like, holy cow, this is like Oz. Glass towers and like really gorgeous buildings downtown. Where was he? Where's he going? Well, let's click on it. Why not? We'll click on it. Then it'll tell us. He was like in Azerbaijan, somewhere like that. Bosnia-Herzegovina. He was in some weird-ass place. Kevin Spacey, who was recently... Uzbekistan. That's it. There we go. Kevin Spacey rushed to a hospital in Uzbekistan after suffering chest pains at a film festival. Kevin Spacey, I don't want to say the career is back. He's doing film festivals in Uzbekistan. So, Leonardo DiCaprio ain't doing Uzbeki film fests. It's just not happening. So Kevin Spacey's there in Uzbekistan. And as I said yesterday, I'm sure it's very nice. I mean, they have nice hotels. There's a lot of oligarchs. There's a lot of like billionaire, like corrupt dudes in that part of the world, and they like to live the high life. So Kevin Spacey gets whisked off to Uzbekistan to attend a film festival. He's touring some museum there, and he starts having chest pains. Send him to the hospital. Looks like he's going to be all right. He's out of the hospital. He spent 1 day in the hospital. He said on Monday that he was hospitalized while in Uzbekistan for the Tajnak Black Film Festival. He is now back home, resting at home in bed. All right, so there you have it. We don't know. He's not saying it was a real heart attack or anything like that, but hey, Kevin Spacey making a little bit of news. Let's see here. Oh, where did this one come from? Where's this story? Where is this from? Is this a Florida? This feels very Florida, but could very well be anywhere. OnlyFans teacher Brianna Coppage is claiming that student loan debt has driven her to a career in porn. So she's a teacher. I don't know where though. I thought it was Florida. It just feels like Florida, but I don't know. Could be anywhere. Could be Arizona. Could be Ohio. It was a case of don't quit your side hustle. Missouri, ladies and gentlemen. Missouri checking in. She was a teacher in Missouri. That is a messed up state. Missouri's gorgeous. Such a messed up state. It was Kansas City. What is it? What? See, Missouri is a messed up state. It was a side hustle for Missouri teacher Brianna Coppage. Student loan debt combined with other mounting bills drove the high school English teacher to make a financially driven decision to get herself a OnlyFans account. Okay, so she's a school teacher. What grade is she teaching? As a teacher, I don't know if I ever would have been able to pay off my student loan debt, so I do this now. What she received to pay for bachelor's and master's degrees. She's got master's degrees. She's got 2 degrees, comes with a lot of student debt, Coppage said. Everything is expensive right now, and the state of teachers' pay in Missouri is almost last in the United States. Coppage earned $42,000 last year teaching. Okay. She earned $42,000 last year as a teacher. She earned $8,000 a month on OnlyFans. OnlyFans. So what is that? So $8,000 a month. That's 10. That's 80. It's 96 before taxes. 96,000. So she's pulling in 6 figures. 42 grand. She's making 42 grand to hang out with a bunch of kids all day, and then she's making 8 grand being a big old hoe on OnlyFans. Which, by the way, I don't put any negative spin on big old hoe. You want to be a big old hoe? You will be a big old hoe. You apply whatever negatives or positives to the use of that word and my use of that word specifically any way you want. Big old hoe on OnlyFans making $8,000 a month. I'll tell you, I saw this. So Shane Gillis, right? The comedian Shane Gillis. Is that even his name? I don't know. But I love this guy. He's so funny. I saw a clip of a sketch that he did. Gillian Keeves. I don't know if you watch YouTube, but Gillian Keeves are so funny. Sketch comedy. Shane Gillis. Is that his name? Shane Gillis? I think it is. Anyway. And it was called Dad's OnlyFans. Or look, just go to YouTube, put Gillian Keeves and then Dad OnlyFans. It's so funny. It's basically a dad, like a middle-aged dad who's got an OnlyFans account because he can't pay the bills. He can't pay the bills for the family. He's been laid off, so now he's putting things in his butt. It's very funny. It's very funny. It reminded me of it. But I'm watching that. And, I happened to have seen that video a couple of days ago before the GOAT rode to the rescue and saved the show. And I'm like, OnlyFans, what would I be willing to do? There's got to be some weirdos out there who would pay to watch me sexually debase myself on camera. And I don't have a problem with that. Not a big deal for me. You're the weirdo. You're paying me to see this. So anyway, I watched that Gillian Keeves OnlyFans dad bit, and I went, man, that's an idea. I bet there are some sick weirdos out there who would totally, as an experiment. What would I really do? Like, would I go full Magilla? I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I could do it. Anyway, very funny. So this teacher's making $8,000 a month doing her OnlyFans thing, and she's making $42,000 a year doing the teacher thing. And what a surprise! She quit being a teacher. She's like, I'm full-time OnlyFans now. And why wouldn't she be? She makes $96,000 a year doing that, and 42 doing the school teacher thing. And I'm guessing the school teacher thing is a lot harder than her just sitting on her bed pleasuring herself to a bunch of weirdos online. $8,000 a month. Do you know what $8,000 a month would do to my lifestyle? Do you know what it would? Jesus. I think of money amounts like that, and then I think of the way I've been existing for the past. I don't even want to know how long, but it's insane. $8,000 a month. I want an OnlyFans account. Like, does it have to be sexual? Like, I don't know. Like, what else would motivate people to drop large sums of money? Like, because that's what it's about. It's about getting them to the point where they'll pay anything in order to just get their release. That's the drive. Is there anything else that's a similar driver? I don't think there is. It's got to be sex, and I'm ugly, and that's not going to work for me. All right. We'll move on. Hey, here's a little story for those of us who enjoy a Buc-ee's. Who doesn't enjoy a Buc-ee's? I do. Buc-ee's. What's a Buc-ee's? You people, some of my friends here, Midwesterners, a couple of people I know check in there on the East Coast, one in New York, a couple in California. You people may not be familiar with Buc-ee's, but let me tell you, we here in Texas, we take our Buc-ee's very serious. What is Buc-ee's, you say? Buc-ee's? Oh, what is Buc-ee's? Is Buc-ee's a convenience store? Nay. How dare you refer to Buc-ee's as a convenience store? Is it a truck stop? Nay, not just a truck. Buc-ee's are amazing. Buc-ee's are these massive traveler centers. Yeah, it's what they call a travel center, right? Because, if you're on the highway, you've been driving for 10 hours, and then, your next stop, you need gas anyway. Why not go to a place that has everything? Buc-ee's are amazing. The Great Wall of Beef Jerky is my favorite Buc-ee's experience. They've got a wall the size of a football field. And it's just filled with hanging beef jerkies, all different flavors, any kind of flavor you'd want. Oh, did I mention the barbecue? Yeah, Buc-ee's makes barbecue brisket right there on site. They got a fully functioning kitchen. It ain't like when you walk into a racetrack and they got rollers on the grill. No, this is like a fully functioning kitchen where they're like, gang, gang. They're like chopping up brisket and all that. It's amazing. All right, so there you go. We've said enough good things about Buc-ee's. We all know we love Buc-ee's. And can I also say this? Buc-ee's brands. Like, the brands, like if you buy like a bag full of Chex Mix or Trail Mix or something like that, and it's like the Buc-ee's brand. The Buc-ee's brands are amazing. They are better than all the other brands. Anything Buc-ee's with the Buc-ee's logo on it, man, it's amazing. It's really good and cheaper. So we've sung the praises of Buc-ee's because now we're going to tear Buc-ee's down a little bit because there's some weirdness going on in the Buc-ee's family. The son of Buc-ee's co-founder has been arrested and charged with 28 felony charges in Texas. That's right. The crown prince of the Buc-ee's empire is a weirdo. Yeah, he's a weirdo. Oh, man, this concerns me. Dateline, Austin, Texas, the son of co-founder of the nationally renowned Buc-ee's convenience store. How dare they call it a convenience store? It's not a convenience store. I mean, it is very convenient that everything in the world is in one place after you've been driving for 10 hours. That's pretty convenient. But it ain't a 7-Eleven. Don't start thinking that a Buc-ee's is a 7-Eleven, you. Let's see here. The son and co-founder of the nationally renowned Buc-ee's convenience store chain has been arrested in Texas on 28 separate state felony charges. Mitchell Wasick, 28-year-old heir apparent to the Buc-ee's fortune. Mitchell Wasick, 28, was released 1 hour. We got the good Buc-ee's attorneys. Was released 1 hour after being arrested on a $10,000 bond on the condition he not contact the complainants. This according to Travis County jail records. What did he do? Nexstars KXAN reached out to an attorney connected with Mitchell, but didn't immediately receive a response. KXAN also attempted numerous times to contact both Mitchell and his father, Don Wasick. He's Mr. Buc-ee's. However, phone numbers associated with both individuals were either disconnected or had voicemails disabled. KXAN was able to reach a family member of the Wasicks, but that person hung up the phone as soon as KXAN identified itself. All right, so what happened? So here's what is the heir apparent to the Buc-ee's fortune being accused of 28 times here in Texas? According to court records, Travis County Sheriff's Office received a telephone complaint back in May alleging improper photography had occurred at a home on the banks of Lake Travis. All right, this isn't going well. This is already photography. What kind of pictures are illegal? Right now you're going, oh my God. Okay, what is Buc-ee's getting involved in? I'd say tap the brakes. Tap the brakes a little bit. We don't have enough information. But this is where I'm going. Photography, ugh. According to court records, Travis County Sheriff's Office received a telephone complaint in May alleging improper photography had occurred at the home on the banks of Lake Travis. Let's see here. Travis Central Appraisal District property records list the owner of the multi-million-dollar lake home to be Donald E. Wasick, Mitchell Wasick's father, and the founder of Buc-ee's. Okay, so this is happening at the Buc-ee's Palace there on Lake Travis. A woman reported that a woman, that's good. All right, good. Woo! All right, a woman reported this. Because, you hear photography and you hear illegal, you start to think, oh, God. A grown-ass woman, reported she and a few friends were visiting the lake house with Mitchell Wasick when one friend, who works cybersecurity for the Department of Defense, noticed a charging port with a hidden camera plugged into a wall in their bathroom. This according to court records. All right, so you get this? So he's inviting people over to the lake house. Hey, I'm Prince of Buc-ee's. Come to my lake house, the magic Buc-ee's castle, and you live here, and we'll party and we'll have fun. And then, he gives him bedrooms in this big old mansion on the lake, and he's got video surveillance hooked up in the bathrooms. He's watching them poop. Bathrooms, bedrooms. The group of friends then left the home with the camera. So it's like he knew, is this how does that play out? Like you're staying at your rich friend's house, and one of the dudes that one of the dudes goes, "Hey, what's this? I found it in the bathroom." And then they all leave. That awkward. You got to immediately call your attorney, I'm thinking. If you're the heir apparent to the Buc-ee's fortune, the minute your friends find your camera and leave the weekend, the lake house weekend, they leave, they storm out. Yeah, you got to call your attorney. The group of friends left with the camera, and on its micro card found dozens of videos of themselves and other people in bathrooms and bedrooms at the lake house, as well as at Mitchell Wasick's Dallas apartment. They were unaware that the recordings existed in the bedroom and the bathrooms and indicated that they did not consent to being recorded or photographed. The woman informed TCSO that a police report was filed with the Dallas Police Department and the camera and the micro card had been turned over to them. According to the affidavit, a warrant was obtained to review the contents of the camera and found 68 movie files containing at least 13 male and female individuals being recorded while using toilets, showering, changing clothes, and having sex. All right, there you have it. A little pervo dude, little pervo Buc-ee's kid. He's got video surveillance cameras all over his. Don't stay at rich people's houses. Rich people's are weird. Rich people's are weird, man. And we're going to the lake. Yeah, no, I'd look around for everything. Any mirror is a potential double mirror at a rich people's house. I've seen movies where people go and stay at rich people's houses and weird stuff happens. Don't stay. Only stay with your broke ass friends. That's my advice to you. Pro tip, life hack. New movie coming out, making some buzz today. The Exorcist Believer. I know what you're saying. You're like, The Exorcist, but there's a new Exorcist movie coming out, and why is it being hyped? Because hasn't there been like 50 Exorcist movies? Haven't we just degenerated this once great? Let's be honest. Can we be honest? There is one good Exorcist movie, and that movie is called The Exorcist. And then there's like 10 spinoffs. There's a whole bunch throughout the 80s they were made. They got less and less legitimate as time went on, and the whole brand just is garbage. Aside from, was it Schlesinger's? Yeah, Schlesinger's 73, right? That's the real one. That's the one. So why now is there all this talk about a new Exorcist? Well, because some dude who runs a studio paid $400 million for a 3-picture deal to reboot the entire Exorcist thing. He's doing it with Jason Blum of Blumhouse, guy who's probably the most highly regarded horror producer working today. So here's the problem, though. The first movie, Exorcist Believer, the first in the 3, remember, $400 million committed to this 3-picture deal for this franchise. The first movie, The Exorcist Believer, is going to be released tomorrow, and the first reviews are out. And guess what? Everybody says it sucks. They've got $400 million. Everybody is saying this movie is getting tragic reviews, like 0 stars. Now, here's the problem with it. They need to make 2 more of these. They've already paid for 2 more. They've paid $400 million to Blumhouse to create 3 Exorcist movies to re-jumpstart the franchise and hopefully create a whole new thing, right? $400 million. And the first movie comes out and everybody's like, this movie sucks. So there you have it. That's why The Exorcist Believer is trending. The Nuns. And by nuns, I mean I'm spelling this Nones. Who are the nuns? Nuns are a quickly growing group of Americans, actually internationally, but this story is about the American. America's non-religious are a growing, diverse phenomena, and they really don't like organized religion. The Nuns. They're coming up with a name for this group. The Nuns, Nons, N-O-N, N-O-N-E-S. And here's what we are, because I am absolutely in this group of Americans. And I know my son is in this group of Americans. My son's mother and his stepfather are in this group of Americans. These are not people who are without faith. These are not people who are without spirituality. These are people who resist the notion of joining a group in order to get into heaven. That's what I resist. And that's what a lot of nuns resist, at least as far as this article here. Where was this? This is the AP putting this out. Mike Dulac, let's read you a little bit about this. Mike Dulac grew up Catholic in Southern California, but by his teen years, he began skipping mass and driving straight to the shore to play guitar, watch the waves, and enjoy the beauty of the morning. And it felt more spiritual than any time that he'd ever spent in a church. Nothing has changed that view in the ensuing decades. He says now, most religions are there to control people and get money from them. Now 76, Dulac of Rocheport, Missouri. He says he also cited child sex scandals in Catholic and Southern Baptist churches. I can't buy into that. The nuns. In many countries around the world, there has been a dramatic increase in the number of people who are non-believers or unaffiliated with any organized religion, the so-called nuns. Okay, so that's a new group of people. The decade-long rise of the nuns, how is this being pronounced? N-O-N-E-S. A diverse, hard-to-summarize group is one of the most talked-about phenomenons in the United States religious circles. They are reshaping America's religious landscape as we know it. In U.S. religion today, the most important story, without a shadow of a doubt, is the unbelievable rise in the share of Americans who are non-religious. All right. The nuns account for a large portion of Americans, as shown by 30% of U.S. adults now claim no religious affiliation. That's low. I'd like to see that much higher. That needs to be much higher. Other major surveys say the nuns have been steadily increasing for as long as 3 decades. I believe that. I think it started with Gen X. I think that the whole break away from, because I was raised in a religion. I was raised Catholic. And I know a lot of people who, like me, who grew up in the 80s and the 90s. They stopped, once they were stopped being forced to go to church on Sundays, they never went to church on Sundays. And again, these are not people who are morally bankrupt. These are not people without any sort of, faith or spirituality. These are just people who see religion and organized religion and preachers begging for money while flying around in private jets and priests covering up child sex scandals. We see that as bullshit. And we don't think that we need these career criminals as a conduit to our Lord. That's what it's about. It's not about being an atheist. It's not about being anti-religion. It is about being anti-organized religion. I'm very anti-organized religion. Do not form a group and say that the only way that you can have eternal peace and happiness is if you're in this group. That's bullshit. You are nonsense. So anyway, the nons, be looking for the nons. 30% of Americans now identify as non-religious affiliated in any way, shape, or form. And honestly, I think that's low. I think that there are a lot of people who claim a religious affiliation who they don't go to church. They don't go. All right. Like James, the guy that does the nighttime show with me, right? At 9:00, he claims that he's a Christian. He's like, I'm a Christian. He didn't go to church, though. I think he goes to church. James is not waking up at 9:00 on a Sunday morning. That's not, I mean, that's something a lot of people want people to think they do, but I don't think when push comes to shove that, I don't think he's going to church. I need to hire, hey, who wants to fund the show so that we can hire a private investigator to follow around the Parkers to see if he claims to be a Christian, he has faith and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think he belongs to any organized religion. He's not lacking faith. I don't think he goes to church, though. Yeah, a lot of people. You know who goes to church every Sunday? It's crazy. You know who goes to church like fanatically every Sunday? He's the most devout person I know. E. Yeah, E from E. Amel. Dude goes to church every single Sunday. Every single Sunday for as long as I've known him, he goes to church every Sunday. Just this thing. He's fanatical about it. All right, the rise of the nuns, 30%. I think that number's low. That number seems low. They're presenting it like it's high, but that number seems very low to me. I myself still do consider myself culturally Catholic. Culturally Catholic, meaning I like the bells and whistles, the big silly hats, and the stinky incense. I like all of that stuff. I like all the magic and the voodoo and the ooh. I don't believe any of it. I know it's all silliness, but that's still cool. I'm just like, yeah, my religion is way over the top. You know, that's kind of how I used to look at it. I used to look like Catholics, man. We're crazy over the top. Gold toilets, just. Rock concerts are getting lame is a story that's going around today. Apparently, Gen Z has ruined the rock concert experience. Now, so the last rock, okay. So what the contention of this article is that going to rock concerts, it's not exactly like what it was back in the 90s or the 2000s. And that since Gen Z has taken over the rock concert going sort of thing, it's gotten really lame. Like rock venues for Gen Z artists, they're not selling any alcohol. Like selling alcohol and beer at concerts was a way that the venue made all their money, because that was, you'd sell a $10 beer 10 times to some 19-year-old who's power drinking during a Megadeth show, right? That's how you made your money. Gen Z's not drinking. Gen Z's like, a lot of them are like straight edge. A lot of them don't. And they're saying the rock concerts are getting lamer. People are being better behaved. Which I don't know. Is it lame? What is lame? Is being better behaved lame? I can tell you this. At my age, the last couple of concerts that I've gone to, I have not gone to a concert that I wanted to go to since Foo Fighters in Chicago just before the pandemic. That was the last time I went to a concert where I was like, let's go to this concert. We should go to this concert. Every concert I've been to recently, at least in the last 5 years or so, have been with my son, just because, my kid wants to go to a concert. So I'm not doing the concert experience the way I might have in 1995. I'm doing it with my kid. We're actually buying popcorn, nachos, stuff like that, and we're watching the show. Now, I can tell you the most recent concert I went to was the Smashing Pumpkins a couple of months back at the American Airlines Center. Smashing Pumpkins had a much older crowd, for obvious reasons. So I did notice that it was kind of a subdued crowd. But again, that's not fair because not a lot of Gen Zers were there. And this story is about how Gen Z has ruined the concert experience. Or have they made it better? They're more into the music, man. Here's what it says. This comes to us from the Wall Street Journal. And it's the background on this is that, concert venues are losing money with booze because kids aren't drinking at concerts anymore. Nope. Okay. Yeah, we don't need to read that. All right, let's go. Fifth head for Mount Rushmore. That's right. There is a move. They're trying to decide on a fifth head for Mount Rushmore. Now, Mount Rushmore, of course, where is Mount Rushmore? Virginia? No, I know it's in South Dakota, North Dakota. Well, I don't know which one. Which Dakota has the giant heads, the 4 giant heads? So who do we got on Mount Rushmore? We got Jefferson, we got Washington, we got Lincoln, and we got Teddy Roosevelt, right? Those are the 4. Washington, Lincoln, Jefferson, Roosevelt. So there's apparently room for a fifth head, and there's been conversations about who's going to be the fifth head on Mount Rushmore. It was opened in 1927. Now there's a movement. Let's see. Here are the 7 prominent Americans. Okay, so here's a list of 7 prominent Americans who are being debated as potential fifth heads to go up on Mount Rushmore. Number 1. You ready for this one? Susan B. Anthony. No. Susan B. Look, I understand the need to put a woman up there. I'm fine with that. But not Susan B. Anthony. Susan B. Anthony doesn't deserve to be next to Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and Thomas Jefferson. With all due respect, she was an important woman in her time, but she isn't on that level. Okay? So who would be a woman? Who would we put up there? Marilyn Monroe. There you go. Who would we put up there? We put up Sandra Day. Now, see, Sandra Day O'Connor's not at that level. The first female president would certainly be in the conversation. I don't know. Anyway, Sandra Day O'Connor, I'm sure there's women that we could consider, but Susan B. Anthony, that's such a tap out. That's like, we need to give the women something. Let's give them a woman from 200 years ago or whatever. How about Betsy Ross? Why not that? She made the flag. Let's put her up there. Number two candidate to go up as the new fifth head on Mount Rushmore. How about Dwight David Eisenhower? That's right, president. He won World War II and then became president of the United States. He was the first guy to tell us about the vast military-industrial complex problem. And everybody went, Eisenhower's a little bit crazy conspiracy guy, isn't he? And then, here we are now going, fuck, Eisenhower tried to warn us. Eisenhower on his way out tried to burn the whole thing down. And everybody went, 60 years later, vast military-industrial complex. Number three candidate to be put up on the wall there. I also push back on this one. John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy, to be put up. Was he president 3 years? I mean, I get it. I understand it, American tragedy and all that kind of stuff. But again, is John F. Kennedy, is his time in the White House, is it akin to Lincoln keeping the nation together during a civil war? Is it with Jefferson, who basically, put to words the soul of this country? Is he George Washington? No, it's not even Teddy Roosevelt. Maybe he's Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt is the spare. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of guys out there who think Teddy Roosevelt is like this great, incredible person. And he's a bigger than life personality and a fascinating and great American. But Teddy Roosevelt is not in the same league with Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington. He's just not. It's just that when they built that monstrosity, when they carved those faces, he was a contemporary guy. He was like the modern guy. So he made it in because he was around, or he was at least in recent memory back when they were carving this thing. And he was a big environmentalist. Teddy Roosevelt was Mr. Conservatism. And I don't mean conservative politics. I mean, established the national park system and all that kind of stuff. John F. Kennedy does not belong. John F. Kennedy is the third choice. This is stupid. Why is this guy even in here? I'm not even going to mention that one. Ronald Reagan comes in. The other one was Elvis. Enough people have suggested that Elvis be carved into Mount Rushmore. I didn't want to mention that. Just stupid. Ronald Reagan. Here's a legitimate one. Ronald Reagan, the number 5 choice to be carved up there on Mount Rushmore. I could see it. I could totally see it. Reagan has been gone now long enough, and it's still in recent memory, so he would be like, a more modern guy to put up there. I could see it. I could see him putting Reagan up there. I could see it. Although hasn't the bloom sort of fallen off the Reagan rose a little bit? Like Republicans don't like 10 years ago. If you weren't, Mr. Ronald Reagan was the greatest. If you weren't that guy, you weren't a Republican. I don't know if that's the case anymore. Because quite frankly, Ronald Reagan would not like these Republicans. Ronald Reagan would not. This is not this. These big spending Republicans who have absolutely no fiscal responsibility. That's not Reaganism. That is absolutely not that. Supply side, trickle down. That's not what's happening. Anyway, Ronald Reagan, that's a good one. Number 6, the 6th choice to be put up on Mount Rushmore. This would be my choice. I don't think there's any other slam dunk choice as far as the potential people to be put up there. He is, in my estimation, the greatest president the United States has ever produced. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That's right. Put up 2 Roosevelts. We already got Teddy up there. Why don't we put the one that actually belongs up there with him? Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And then there's these final 2. One of them, absolutely not. I mean, I get it because of the times we live in. I get it. One of them, absolutely not. The other one, I could absolutely see it happening. So first, we're going to start with Donald Trump. That's right. A twice impeached, one-termer. They're going to put him up there. That's not a legitimate thing. I mean, I get it. He's very popular these days. He is the man of the moment. This is how we ended up with Teddy Roosevelt on the side of the mountain in 1927. Because he was popular in the moment. We put him up. Trump does not. Stop it. I get it. You love him. He's great. He's hysterical. He's funny. He doesn't. But stop it. Stop it. You're being dumb. He doesn't belong. All right, the next one. There's the next one. Oh boy, if I made some of my Trump friends angry with that, because don't be stupid. He doesn't belong on Rushmore, you idiot. Don't be stupid. I get it. You love him. I get it. Stop it. That's a stupid idea. All right, so we'll move on. This next guy could very well go up. Ladies and gentlemen, Barack Obama. That's right. There ain't none but white men up there. I think they should probably put a woman up there first before whatever, but I could absolutely see. Now, the question is, so let's make it fair between Obama and Trump as the final 2 candidates to go up on Mount Rushmore. So is it going to be Trump or is it going to be Obama? So let's be fair. It's not even one guy it's about what they represent to an entire group of people. He's a black guy. That's why Obama would go up, because he's a black guy. He's the first black president. You want how about Martin Luther King? Because you know what? That might be the compromise. Because I understand political times being what they are and people being polarizing. You might not be able to get a Barack Obama up there. There might be just too much pushback from certain people on certain sides. So that's fine. How about Martin Luther King? How about now? How about Martin Luther King, the compromise candidate? Put Martin Luther King up there. Oprah. That's it. 2 birds, 1 stone. We get a black person and we get a woman. Put Oprah up there. Who else? Who's that woman? Who's that? Well, I was watching a movie last night and this woman popped up in the movie and I'm like, this woman pops up in every movie. Octavia Spencer? Yeah, let's put Octavia Spencer up there. She's like in everything now. She's black and a woman. And then you would have 3 white guys who definitely belong, 1 white guy who doesn't belong up there, and Octavia Spencer. And that's Mount Rushmore. And that would be America. How great would that be? All right, let's move on. Let's see, what else do we have here? Powerball's trending again. Powerball. It rolled over again. So last night it was what was it last night? 1.2 billion. Ugh, Powerball. Yeah, I bought a stupid Powerball ticket. I got like no money and I bought a stupid Powerball ticket because I'm like, here's the thing too. I'm walking through the parking lot and I'm like, should I get a Powerball ticket? It's $2. $2. I should get a Powerball ticket. I'm walking through the parking lot and I'm like, no, man. We got to batten down the hatches these next few days. We got to be really conservative with everything. We got to stop these kind of flights of fancy. Ain't going to win the Powerball. But guess what? I walked in because as I approached the desk, I thought to myself, this would be the time I'd win. I would win because I just talk. See, this is my partner, schizophrenic me, the guy who always tells me that my ideas are good. He's the guy in my head that tells me all the bad ideas and I have to push him down. So I pushed him down. His bad idea was not to spend the money on a Powerball ticket, which as it turns out was the right idea because I didn't win, because nobody won. Nobody won again. Powerball jackpot soars to an estimated $1.4 billion for Saturday evening's drawing. This is going to be Saturday. 1.4. It's now the third largest. It was like 2 days ago. It was the 8th largest. It's the third now. It's the third largest. If it rolls over one more time, it'll probably be the largest. The Powerball jackpot soared to an estimated $1.4 billion for Saturday, which would be the third largest jackpot in the game's history. This after Wednesday night's drawing turned up no grand prize winner. I can't tell you how great it would be to win that. I just got. Oh, really? Really? Did you feel that needed to be said out loud? I don't know if I feel it needed to be said, but I did want to manifest it. I did want to put it out there as something that now exists in the universe. The notion that I could win the Powerball is now something that exists. We'll see how that works out for me. We'll see. All right, that's it. I got nothing else. That's pretty much the whole show for today. So let me jump around. Let me see what else we got. See if there's anything that is I don't have the TV on today, so I don't know what's going on there. Oh, hold up. Hey. Sorry, hold on a second. Okay, sorry. Excuse me. All right, let's look. Let's see what's happening here. By the way, hey, how about the Rangers? Right? Can we just say that? Did we all enjoy our afternoon yesterday? A little October baseball. Oh, nothing better than that. I love it. Football game. I got my kids' football game tonight. Very nervous. Who are we playing? Let me see. Let me see who we're playing today. Where do I got to drive to? Oh my God, gas money. All right, let's see here. Who are we taking on today? My son's freshman football team is 5-0, I think. 5-0. We got some ridiculous. I belong to a Facebook page with a couple of dads, and one of the dads said that our average margin of victory is like 30 points or something. I don't know, just crazy. All right, let me see. Where do I got to drive to tonight? Here we go. Let's see here. Oh, we got a home game. Look at this. How exciting is this? Today at 5:30, right there, home game, Kimbrough Stadium. It's our home Kimbrough Stadium. By the way, Hebron has a really cool football stadium. They've got a beautiful everything. Hebron is gorgeous, man. You ever been out to Hebron High School? That place is gorgeous. Anyway, rich kids, rich Plano, brand new school. School was built like 5 years ago. I don't know, probably 15, but you know what I mean? It's a really nice new school. Their stadium is called the Woodshed. It's just so cool. It's just like it's like a big giant, the Woodshed. They call it the Woodshed. Like, welcome to the Woodshed. And then there's this, like, they have a sound effect. It sounds like, it's like really cool. Man, I'm telling you, I am loving Texas high school football. I have always known that it's a thing that could potentially at some point be an obsession of mine. I've resisted. I've gone to a whole bunch of really good varsity football games over the past 20 years. I mean, I saw Chase Daniel back when he was playing for Southlake. I saw who else did I see? Who else? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Moving aside. Now I got a kid who's playing high school football, and we're at the freshman level, and I am all in. The Woodshed. We, of course, play at Kimbrough Stadium. We love Kimbrough. Kimbrough's our home. It's been my home for 3 weeks, but, go way back. Go way back with Kimbrough Stadium. Taking on Flower Mound tonight. Flower Mound. All right, so it's going to be Plano East taking on Flower Mound. I don't know if this is a district game. Is this a district game? I don't know if they're in district with us. I don't know if they're any good. That's the other problem with being a fan of freshman football. It's really difficult finding out like who you're playing and if they're any good or not, because there's not a whole lot written about freshman football team. Varsity teams, I know all about the Flower Mound varsity team. I just don't know anything about their freshman team. All right, so we got that. So I gotta go out and do that today. There we go, Flower Mound. Don't know why I just took you on that little while. That was something that I could have just done after the show on my own to figure out who we were playing, but I figured why not keep streaming? Why not let you in on that little part of my day where it's revealed to me who my son is playing? Why is Ann Coulter trending? She shouldn't trend anymore. Isn't she so 2015? Why is she still around? All right, I don't know. I guess there's not. Apparently she's doing a podcast. What? I assume she's already doing like 15 podcasts. All right, nothing new happening here. Let's see here. Apparently the United States has just shot down a Turkish drone over Syria. I don't know what that means. We don't really like Turkey, right? Like Turkey, like we hate Erdogan, right? Erdogan's trouble. He's a problem guy. But Turkey is a very strategically important place. So what? We got to kind of be nice. We're kind of friendly with Turkey, but not really. Like we don't trust them. Like theoretically on paper, Turkey's like on board with everything we're doing, but not really. Like we have to hold their hand and we have to really. So now we're shooting down Turkish drones in Syria. Okay. Drone deemed a threat to U.S. forces in northeast Syria. What do we got? Some video here. Dateline, Washington. A U.S. jet fighter has shot down a Turkish drone Thursday after it was deemed a threat to U.S. forces in northeast Syria. The episode comes as Turkey has been mounting air attacks against Kurdish militants it blames for a bombing attack in Ankara on Sunday. There are roughly 900 U.S. troops based in Syria who have been working with Kurdish-led fighters to battle the Islamic State. The Turkish Defense Ministry said that the drone didn't belong to the Turkish armed forces. That's how they get out of it. That's how wasn't ours. What are you talking about? Hey, we shot down a Turkish drone. And then Turkey goes, wasn't ours. Because I don't know. But one American official described it as an armed Turkish drone and said that the U.S. was aware of it being a Turkish drone before it acted. So it knew it was a Turkish drone and it went, let's shoot it down anyway. The U.S. aircraft that downed the drone, which was armed with air-to-ground munitions, was an F-16. The action was taken as American troops were conducting operations nearby. The shootdown is likely to add to the tensions between Turkey and the U.S., which are North Atlantic Treaty Organization allies. Yeah, Turkey's in NATO. Over the American military strategy in Syria. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin is expected to speak to Turkish officials. Erdogan dropped his opposition in July to Sweden's bid to join NATO. Okay, I don't care. We don't need to go into all that stuff. But there you have it. Got a little sideways with Turkey this afternoon. Shot down one of their drones. Although they're saying, wasn't ours, because they think they're in trouble. Wasn't ours. Yeah, it is. Although, see, that's not good for them, though, on the world stage. That's why it wasn't ours. I don't know why you're shooting our stuff down. We don't have any problems with you. Because on the world stage, they don't want to be seen as being in opposition to the United States. Because believe it or not, the United States still holds a lot of sway over a lot of countries. Wasn't ours. We didn't mean it. We didn't do it. Get on your knees, Turkey. Get on your knees. What else do we have here? Picture of a lion fighting a bear. That ain't real. How can that be real? Okay, we're moving on. That's obviously fake. When would a lion fight a bear? Under what circumstance? I mean, now I'm not saying the lion has never fought a bear, because I bet you like pirates, like back in the I bet you somebody had a lion that they stole from some part of the world And I bet, another one had a bear, and I bet they fought. I bet a lion fought a bear. Oh, now it sounds like we're doing Kelly's Practical Picks. Anyway, looking at a picture of a lion fighting a bear. The bear is much bigger than the lion. I don't know if that's a full-on lion. Anyway, can't be real, because lions and bears don't exist in the same part of the world naturally, so they wouldn't, they wouldn't fight. Be like a whale. Be like a dolphin fighting a alley rat. How would they ever be in the same place? They don't belong in the same place. That's it, guys. I got nothing else. I'm stretching here. I'm trying to find something else that we can talk about, but I'm going to get on the move. I've got stuff to do today. I appreciate you hanging out with us. Thank you again to the executive producer of today's show. He is the GOAT. He got us over the finish line. So we made it. We made it to the number that I stated that we needed. So there we go. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, GOAT. Got us there. Thank you to everybody else. Thank you to you who show up. Thank you to those who listen. Thank you to those who listen on delay. Thank you to everybody who participates in, well, what is this daily exercise in narcissism, as demonstrated by me, Pugs Moran. No Radio Misfits show tonight. Sorry. Got my kids' game. And then my kid and I, after the game, we're going to be doing whatever it takes to avoid finding out anything about the Bears game, because we just don't care. We just don't care. Here is what I want. I know, how sad is this? Here is what I want more than anything from my Chicago Bears. I want them to lose so badly tonight that there is absolutely no question that Matt Eberflus is fired tomorrow. That's all I want. I just want the coaching staff gone. I just want them all gone. And they're saying that the only reason that we're going to get this is if they lose tonight. Jesus. I want Justin to have a good game. Here's what I want for Justin Fields. I want him to get the hell out of Chicago. I want them to get him out of there. I want him to get out of there. I want Justin Fields to go to Atlanta. It's hometown. It's where he's from. They need a quarterback down there. Justin Fields playing for his hometown Atlanta Falcons, the team that he grew up worshiping Michael Vick, that's what he needs. He's a good kid. He's a really good kid who has been absolutely destroyed by a defensive coach who doesn't understand the first thing about using a modern quarterback. It's just been an absolute disaster. I want him gone. I want him gone. I want him out of the system. I don't want to ruin him. I want to root for him for years to come, and I will be a fan of whatever team he is on, because he has behaved as a prince this entire time that he has been absolutely destroyed by these morons, both in the upper management and in the... Okay, never mind. I'm not doing it. I'm not going on my Bears rant. I could do a Bears podcast, and it would be me just, barking for an hour to 5 dudes. So that's why I won't do it. Nobody cares. I have more important football games to concern myself with today. I have the big freshman battle between Plano East and Flower Mound tonight at 5:30. So that is going to take every ounce of my care. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, closing theme.
I have got my poetry. I have got my songs.
Oh,
See me through the...
So last night, I started last night after the Radio Misfit show. I told y'all that I was going to go in the next room and I was going to watch on YouTube Over the Edge, a movie from the 1980s, like 1980. Matt Damon about a bunch of teenagers who burn their town down. Really cool movie, Over the Edge. Loved it when I was a kid. I was going to I was going to watch it. I was like, so that was what I said yesterday, Radio Misfits. Hey, I'm going to go watch this movie that I really loved when I was 10. Let's see if I still like it. So I went in the other room and I started to watch it, and I only got 10 minutes in. I got 10 minutes in and I was like, it's too late for me to really commit to try and pay attention to this. So Over the Edge has been tabled. What I did watch instead, however, caught my attention, was there's a new miniseries, or not miniseries, docuseries on Netflix about David Beckham, about one David Beckham. Now, I don't know if any of you know about my relationship with David Beckham. It is very similar to my relationship with Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian, my close personal friend, who explained to me one day the difference between red and green salsa, a moment I will never forget. Yes, I have that same kind of experience with David Beckham. But here's the thing. I didn't know who David Beckham was. When I had my experience with David Beckham, he was just a dude. He was just a dude at a bar that I was talking to. I didn't know who he was. I was more impressed because the other guy that I was talking to was in the band, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Kevin Lanier from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. He was the sax player. Remember that band, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones? So here's the story. I'm in Ireland. I'm on my honeymoon. I just got married. It's over Christmas. We're in Ireland on Christmas. And we didn't know this, but Ireland shuts down on Christmas. Like Dublin shuts down. Everything's closed. There is nothing open. So the only thing that was open was the hotel we were staying in. And we were staying in a very nice hotel. It was our wedding after all. We were staying in a very nice, expensive, fancy downtown. I don't need this music. Spam call. Staying at a very fancy downtown Irish hotel. Now, everything else in Dublin shut down on Christmas Day except for the hotel. We didn't know this. We thought we would be able to go out to dinner, and we didn't know that. So we're stuck. We're basically on a cruise ship for, an entire day. We can't leave the hotel. And we can leave the hotel, but there's nowhere to go. You're just going to be standing outside in Ireland on Christmas Day. So the hotel did a whole bunch of stuff to try and entertain all of their people. They did a movie night. They did like free drinks in the bar, all this kind of stuff. So everybody that was stuck in this very nice hotel was kind of stuck together in the hotel. Now, there were a number of like famous people who were staying in this hotel who were also stuck in this hotel on Christmas with me and my new bride. Dude from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, who I just told you about, my friend Kevin, who I met the night before. We were two Americans at this bar in the hotel. And he's like, "You're from America?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then we started talking. He's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm in radio." And I'm like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I'm in a rock band." And I go, "Holy shit." And it turned out that his rock band is a band that we played on. Anyway, we became friends. Me and Kevin from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. And so the bartender, so there were other celebrities too that were Michael Flatley, the Lord of the Dance. That guy, he was staying at the hotel, but he was in like the presidential suite and he never came down. Nobody ever saw Michael Flatley. The other two people who were staying there was David Beckham and Posh Spice. Woo! David Beckham and Posh Spice. Now, I didn't know who David Beckham was, and I only kind of knew who Posh Spice was because I was an American, and this was 1997, and the Spice Girls were just exploding in England. They were just about, they had exploded in America. They were big. Here's why they were staying at this hotel on Christmas Eve. Spice World. Remember the Spice Girls movie? The Spice Girls movie had opened that Friday in London. And London was insane with the Spice Girls. So Posh Spice and David Beckham decided over Christmas they were going to just hightail it out to Dublin, avoid all of the chaos in London over the Spice Girls thing, and they were going to hide in a hotel in Dublin, a hotel where we were at. So me and Kevin Lanier from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, we're sitting there, we're drinking, and the bartender, we're hanging out with the bartenders because we're Americans. We got questions, and the bartender, is having fun talking to the Americans and all this stuff. And the bar's kind of crowded, and there's people coming in and about. And this dude sits down next to us, right? So again, it's me and this American guy in the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. It's a rock star. Me and him sitting there, and another dude moves in and they sit down. There's a whole group of people now. And I noticed like this person who is sat down now, 2 stools away from me, not right next to me, but 2 stools away from me. The bartender is giving him all this attention and all this kind of stuff. Well, it turns out it's David Beckham. It's 1997 David Beckham. Now, this is before David Beckham really became David Beckham, probably globally in America. I didn't know who he was, is my point. I'd never heard of him. He hung out. He was drinking beers. We were talking. I found out that he was a soccer player. I called it soccer. He didn't like that. We joked about it. We mostly talked about music. When David Beckham found out that Kevin was in the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, they started to become friends. Well, my girlfriend is in the Spice Girls. And we're like, yeah, we know. Yeah, we know. So anyway, that was my one experience with David Beckham. Probably an hour and a half hanging out at a bar on Christmas Day in 1997 in Dublin, Ireland. This was before he became David Beckham. David Beckham. He was already in England. He was already David Beckham because he was already famous enough to get a Spice Girl. But in America, you didn't know who David Beckham was. In 1997, if you talked to someone on the street in Cleveland and said, "You know who David Beckham is?" they'd go, "No." And then I knew who he was. I learned who he was. Anyway, he was really cool. He was nice. Everybody there was impressed by him. Like, it was obvious that I was in the presence of a real celebrity. Like, he was a real celebrity in this bar. Meanwhile, I'm with the guy from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones who I'm impressed with, but nobody else is. Everybody's impressed with David Beckham. So it was because of this, I bailed out of the Over the Edge movie that I started to watch last night, and I checked out the new 4-part docuseries on Netflix called Beckham, about David Beckham and his life. I am loving it. I only got like 1 episode in, but my God, am I loving it. And, you know, I'm like looking at this guy, like I don't remember. I mean, he didn't become famous till afterwards. Like it was years later that David Beckham suddenly is like super famous David Beckham and everybody knows who David Beckham is. And that's when I went, yeah, I drank with that guy. Right. And it like wasn't like a big deal to me because he wasn't famous to me. But it's basically like I was drinking with Michael Jordan, you know, and didn't really appreciate. I guess he's not that level, but it's good. I really enjoyed it. And I'll tell you something. I really enjoyed Posh Spice. Victoria, I guess Victoria Beckham is her name. I really enjoy her. I think she seems like a cool chick. I would have never thought Posh Spice seems like a cool chick. But you know who else is a cool chick? And I learned this from the Formula One show that I watch. Driven to Succeed, Driven for Speed, whatever it is, the Netflix Formula One show. Jerry Hollowell. Remember her? The redheaded Spice Girl? She's really cool because she's married to the guy who runs Red Bull Racing. And so she's all over that series and she's really cool as well. So Posh Spice is cool. David Beckham's cool. He seems like such a good guy. He really does. Oh, and by the way, this also explains why the other day I said, why is David Beckham trending everywhere? Well, he was trending everywhere because Netflix was about to drop this new docuseries. And that's what I'm watching. And you should too. It's interesting. You don't have to know soccer. It's interesting to me because I don't know soccer. It's interesting to me because I don't know soccer, and I do know that David Beckham is a global superstar. And I really have this an understanding why he is so beloved by so many people and why he is such a big name in a sport that I know nothing about. So I'm finding it interesting, learning all of this stuff.
Like the dancing bear, trained to be the best. I am on a never-ending quest. I can smile a little now.
Barney says, in regard to the film Over the Edge that I was talking about, Barney says, I've never seen the movie you were talking about, but the description reminded me of the classic James Spader, Robert Downey Jr. film Tough Turf. No. Yes, I am also familiar with Tough Turf. No, Over the Edge is not Tough Turf. Over the Edge is just the story of what happens in a new suburban development that's sort of removed from everything else. It's in the middle of nowhere, and it's just a town now, and there's a school. And it's about Gen X kids and what being a Gen X latchkey kid was and how our parents didn't give a shit about us. I mean, they loved us, but by today's standards, we were feral. We were free range as kids. And Over the Edge is about how basically it's Lord of the Flies. It's Over the Edge is Lord of the Flies. These teenagers take over this new suburb, it's more like Taps. I would say Over the Edge is more akin to what Taps was then, but it's really good. And I only got about 20 minutes into it. And I was like, yeah, no, this is something I want to watch, but I think I really need to pay attention to it. Tough Turf was stupid. Over the Edge is great. Over the Edge is like Taps. I would put it in that category. If you enjoy Taps, you'll enjoy Over the Edge. My 14-year-old son won't watch Taps with me. That's upsetting. I love Taps. Timothy Hutton, Tom Cruise, other people. It's a good movie. George C. Scott. Yeah, Taps. My 14-year-old kid won't watch it with me. I'm like, dude, it's about a bunch of military school students who take over the military school with real guns. It's awesome. He's not interested. He keeps suggesting Transformer movies. I can't. I refuse to watch a Transformer movie. And he's like, Dad, just watch a Transformer movie with me. I'm like, I'm not going to watch a movie about a car that turns into a monster. That's not what it is. I'm like, that's basically what it is. It's a car that turns into what? A truck? No, they're not. They're aliens. And then he tries to explain Transformers to me. And I'm like, this is stupid. Let's watch Taps. And he's like, I'm not watching Taps. And then we go into separate rooms and do our own thing for 2 hours.
Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come. I have found.
He also believes that there are merits to the Fast and Furious franchise. He doesn't believe that all the Fast and Furious movies are good. He doesn't say these. In fact, he will admit that some of them are incredibly dumb. But he does think that there are some fairly important aspects to the Fast and the Furious universe that he. I've never seen Fast and the Furious either. I am more likely to start watching Fast and the Furious movies with my 14-year-old than I am Transformer movies.
A different way, so baffling to some.
So baffling to some. See, I can do background vocals.
Guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401.
All right, I got nothing else.
I don't have degrees.
See you tomorrow at noon. Love you guys.
Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest.
Just realized I don't have any air conditioning on in here. What's the temperature right now? What is the temperature in beautiful Highland Park? Remember for 9 months, it was like 150 every day. 9 months, 150. Obviously, I'm being silly. But for 3 months, it was like 105 every day. And now I don't even have the air conditioning on in here. Let's see what we got. 77 degrees. Oh, baby. 77 degrees. Partly sunny. Man, this is it. This is October. Actually, October should be 65. October should be high 60s. Sunny and high 60s. You should be able to wear shorts and maybe a hoodie. It's a good look. Shorts, zip-up hoodie. 65 October. We're 77 right now. All right, bye, everybody. We'll see ya. Go Panthers!
I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.